Right. So, without further ado, I'm just going to say over to Lynn to give us a discussion on IRLP, Echolink, and VarAC. Okay. Thanks, Lynn.
Hey.
Save it, lads, load it off. Right, okay. As it says on the screen, this is a brief introduction to IRLP. For those of you who don't know, Internet Radio Linking Project, Echolink, and how we want to pronounce it, VarAC. That's how I pronounce it anyway. First thing I want to say, guys, this is not an in-depth presentation of each of these programs and systems. I'm not going to bore you all to death with a million pictures of menus of computer screens, etc. There is some pictures of menus, etc., particularly in the second presentation, but I've done that for a reason, because what I want to do is familiarise you with what you're going to see if you intend or want to look at these systems. The presentations this evening it's solely really to pique your interest. All right? So rather than go, well, what's Echolink? I don't know, and not bother with it, hopefully at the end of this evening or at the end of the presentation, you've got a little bit more knowledge about what you can expect to see and how the systems work in general, and you'll go ahead and make use of it. So I'm going to start off with an introduction to IRLP. Okay, what is it? Well, by the way, I apologise, I will be referring to notes. Okay. There are a few different methods of communicating using voice over the internet protocols, VoIP. Right, one of these, of course, is the IRLP. IRLP, as I mentioned, starts with the Internet to Radio Linking Project. It was started in November 1997. It was then halted in March 1998. Right, due to software issues with Microsoft Windows. There's a surprise. No, it wasn't hacked, it wasn't cracked or anything like that. Essentially speaking, Windows couldn't cope with it. At that time, Windows 95, 98, etc. Just wasn't up to it. IRLP uses a voice over an internet streaming software called Speak Freely. Now, that's just generic information as far as you're concerned. Okay. You don't need to download or set up any of that sort of system, Speak Freely. What you do need to do is to download software if you're going to run a node. Other than that, you can get into links and nodes in various different ways. Locally, we were lucky that we had an IRLP node, and we've still got one. It's on GB3TR. Okay. All the links, etc., are accessed by using DTMF tones. This is a 2013 copy of most of the nodes that were available at that time. Essentially speaking, it's like dialing up a phone number. Now, there was a time where you needed either a handheld with DTMF tones or a radio with a microphone at DTMF tones. We all today, I would say everybody here owns one of these. All right? You could download a free app that will get your phone to create DTMF tones. All you need to do is hold your phone next to your microphone, your handheld, push the PTT, and off you go. You're getting in there. Right. So, how do we get in there? Well, very, very simply, we go on to GB3TR. We pick a node number from here. It's a 4-digit number. And you punch it in, but only after you've done one thing. Anybody got any ideas what it is? Sorry, Don?
Switch it on. Check to ensure.
Actually,
Check nobody else wants to use the repeater.
Exactly. All right. Now, because initially you're sending DTMF tones, nobody knows who you are. So actually, the first part of the protocol is the fact you come up onto the repeater and simply say your call sign followed by, in my case, Mike 0 Tango Charlie Foxtrot, accessing IRLP. Okay, that does two things. It tells everybody what I'm doing, right, because there are some caveats attached to this, right, but also, of course, I'm doing a transmission thereafter. So normally what I do is M0TCF, accessing RLP, drop key, listen, come back up again, M0TCF, accessing RLP, and then send the 4-digit code. Hold the microphone open for a little while. Essentially speaking, what you're doing, of course, is going from RF to internet, through the internet, back out onto RF. And that takes time. Okay, if you open a node, shall we say, in the middle of Canada, which is Shay's favourite one because it howls back at him, right? There is a delay, and that delay can be anything up to 5 to 8 seconds. Right? Just hold it open and then wait and see what happens, and then release. Okay. If you hit a node it's already been used, or it's not available, you'll get, essentially speaking, a pre-recorded message that says, node not available. Having accessed the node, and hopefully made a contact, right, you want to come off the system, you've got to close it back down again. And it's imperative you do close it down, because if you leave it open, it's open, okay, which means somebody else could inadvertently be, swearing at a driver on the A38 being transmitted on the I6 in Canada at the same time. Simple to disconnect, just bang in 7.3. Nobody forgets that, did they? Okay. So, right, this is what I was talking about, the nodes.
Yes, the 7.3, is that DTMF tone?
DTMF tone, yeah. Okay, as you can see here, our node number, TR, is 5582. So if you were in Manchester, or, oh, there we are, Langold, 5087. If you opened up that repeater and then punched in 5582, that would open the TR repeater up. All right? You go in and what you do is you punch in the code of the node that you want. Node, repeater, however you want to call it. Yeah, it's the same thing. Just because this is internet webby thing, they tend to refer to it as like nodes and reflectors and stuff. It's a repeater. Edit that out. Okay. This information has come off the IRLP.net status board, and you can scroll through millions of pages because it's all there, and it will tell you obviously the status of. We got one here in Mexico. Oh, well, no, it's offline. All right. That's the long and the short of it. Get onto TR and start punching these numbers in. I drove Paddy. Bless him, Mike 1 Echo India Windy, Mike 1 Echo India Whiskey, insane in Bournemouth, in Brixham, sorry, because I started at the top of this page, punching them, long time ago when I was in M6, going through the whole list alphabetically to see if I could get anybody. I got down to there and then got told to stop, because he was getting a bit irritated with me, bless him. So just bear in mind, there are a couple of things as well when using the IRLP. If you're using it, or what shall we say, I'm using it, and Lawrence calls me, the person I'm talking to in Canada can also hear Lawrence. And if Lawrence is talking to Mark, then he can hear him as well. So any traffic that is on the local repeater also goes through the IRLP system. Keep that in mind. Okay, so that's why it's important that you close it down once you finish using it. The other side of the coin is take into account time changes. I spent ages trying to get into the Tokyo node, and then realised that, of course, I'm calling at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is 1:30 in the morning over there. Not many people about, so it's like anything. Just take the time changes into consideration. Okay, so you decide actually I wouldn't mind having an Echolink at home. I can do that. We can all do it. It's a piece of cheese. And when you look at what's needed, yeah, it is pretty simple. The hardware bit of it is, and these days I was to suggest as well that most people have, a very, very static internet connection with plenty of bandwidth, etc. This information comes off the IRLP website, and as you can see, some of it hasn't been updated to present day. But having said that, it gives you a damn good idea of the simplicity of it all. I mean, you can run it on a Raspberry Pi and be a system operator.
Yeah, you can also run it off an all-star.
Yeah, these days, I mean, technology's moved on that far that it is very, very accessible. There's examples of a simplex and an IRLP node, or two different types of node. You don't really need to worry too much about this side of it, again, unless you want to be a system operator and actually run your own IRLP node. Bill is our IRLP sys operator. If you want to open, which you possibly can do using a correct code system, you can open up basically a room on the IRLP. Don't, unless Bill knows about it. Right, or gives you permission, simple as that. If you do it and don't, it can have serious knock-on effect on the whole of the repeater, etc. So I suggest just keep, particularly IRLP stuff, one-to-one. Okay, it's all based. This technology is all based, by the way, on FM communications. Although once your signal hits the computer, it is digitised. It is not a digital format. So you need the most basic FM analog transmitter, and that's all you need. Okay, here we are, some general guidelines. You can connect one-to-one, or you can connect one-to-many via a reflector. And all a reflector is a computer sitting on a huge amount of bandwidth, allowing other computers to connect together. Very much like, for want of a better description, a chat room. So you can connect it both ways. Keep in mind that there will be lag. You won't get too much distortion, but if you ask a question, as I said, you might get 2 or 3 or 5 seconds or greater delay before you actually get a response. And that includes anything you do, including punching in DTMF. Okay. Check which stations are connected. Again, as I said, trying to connect into the Hong Kong or Tokyo node, well, just make sure it's online and this is available. And remember to pause after pressing the PTT. Key up and allow the system to acknowledge the fact that you're there, right, before you go on and start doing stuff. Okay, and actually calling CQDX through a node, quite acceptable, which is a bit of an odd one through a repeater. It's not intuitive to do so, but you can do. I was an M6, and I just started to use the IRLP, and I called CQDX through one of the repeaters in Canada, and I got a response from a very nice lady who was 80 years old. She was sitting on her porchway waiting for her family to come over for a barbecue, and she was actually listening for her sons to call her on their local repeater. And we had a lovely half-an-hour chat. In fact, sorry, I tell you right, I was a 2E0, because she actually said to me the only reason that she responded was the fact she didn't recognise my call sign. Didn't recognise where it was from, so she had to call me back to find out. When her sons arrived, both of them were licensed operators, and I had another 10-minute chat with them. So fabulous what you could actually get through. Very, very interesting lady. It's a nice couple of guys. Okay. Again, more guidelines. M0TCF calling secure. Is anyone available for a contact? Don't just open the node up in the hope that there's somebody there. Announce the fact that you are there. Right? Because a lot of people, as we always say, for every one person talking, there's definitely 10 people listening. Right? And my little anecdote was just explained. If you put a call through, it might just spur somebody on, oh, UK guy from England. We'll have a chat with them. You might actually get a conversation out of them. Right? Abide obviously by normal amateur radio conversation protocol, avoiding religion and politics as always, and spread friendship around the world. Again, if you're connected to a reflector, big chat room, have a listen first. You'll normally find that there is actually net control or somebody technically in charge. Right? And when you're talking to people, etc., pause between your transmissions. Right. Again, I don't really want to wish to read all this out, but first of all, listen for 15 to 30 seconds before you transmit. It's common sense. Ask if the repeater is in use. That's the one here. That's the one we're using, i.e. TR. Right. Assume if it's clear, Identify yourself and give the node number, for example, G3NJA for Sydney node, and enter the node number and release your PTT. Your local repeater should come up with a carrier as it waits for the connection to be authenticated. That will hold your radio open. Take a few seconds of dead air to be connected. So don't be concerned if there's actually some sort of pause. The more you use the IRLP, the more you'll get used to how it actually physically works on a day-to-day basis. And when that connection is confirmed, you will get a voice ID from the destination node. You are connected to the Mid-Canadian IRLP node number 1487. Whoa! Or whatever. Okay. I don't think our node has got too many announcements on it. I don't think so, but it can be programmed with all sorts of messages. Right. If TR, or whichever you're using, is connected, right, you'll get a message telling you that fact. Your node is connected to, and the ID. In real terms, this means you can't use it. Right? And don't be a jack, son of a person, and hit 73 and disconnect the other operator. That's really, really, really rude. Okay. So, yeah, wait for it. But of course, you can actually join in the conversation and ask the operator or operators if they intend to be on the node for very much longer. You know, chances of that happening on TR, right? Okay. The repeater may be in use. It may have occurred. The voice ID is longer than the voice ID of their node, and the connection is not made until the ID is played in full. Let everything play itself out. Don't try transmitting before it's finished talking to you. All right? This is a great one. While you're waiting for things to happen, it might occur to you that nobody's fed the mouse and put any coal on the steam engine, because sometimes there are a few computers that seem to be, or the systems seem to be running on ZX81s or ZX Spectrums as opposed to a Pentium. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's the way it is, I'm afraid. Right, so a few do's and don'ts when using the IRLP. Do pause between transitions, let others in, and enter DTMF commands, particularly apparent if you're on a reflector. Do identify yourself. That, of course, is a requirement of your license. Don't just send DTMF tones and nothing else. All right? Do hold your microphone PTT for a second before talking when you're connected, right, to allow the system's time to rise up. If you're a group of 5 people, you've got a drop key, and the next person's got a key up, and the system's got to recognise that fact. So don't go launch straight into a conversation. Give yourself, or the system, the computer, a little bit of time to acknowledge the fact that you're there. All right. Don't rag shoe on your local repeater while connecting to the reflector. That's fairly obvious, that one. And then your rag shoes on TR is like amazing anyway. Do pause for 10 seconds before going into a chat room reflector and before talking. That will give the sysop time, or the net controller, sorry, time to recognise the fact that your system is logged in to that room. It will come up on his screen that your call sign, etc. is there. Right. Do not start a net or plan a net without the pre-authorisation of the reflector owner. As I said, if you want to do something like that, then contact Bill, in our case. Right. As I said, just a brief overview of what the IRLP will do for you. So to recap, you need to access it using DTMF tones. The relevant codes are available on the IRLP net. A word of warning, guys. Don't download the whole bloody thing. Right? It'll take about a ream and a half of paper and a lot of printer ink. So maybe it might be worthwhile just selecting a few that you're interested in, maybe in the country. They're listed alphabetically and by country. So maybe you want to try, I don't know, Venezuela with all 3 of their nodes. You know, or maybe something like South America. You know, be a little bit choosy about where you want to go and who you want to access. You'll find that there are nodes that are very busy and almost impossible to get into, and other nodes that aren't. There is a piece of software out there that you can download which will actually tell you real time which nodes have been accessed in the last 15 minutes. I found that very useful because particularly if you're trying to go for, you know, a very underpopulated area that has an IRLP node. If that pops up and says, oh, that was in use 3 minutes ago, you can put your hand on your heart and pretty much say, maybe there's somebody still listening on it, and you might get through. So it's worthwhile checking that. Okay. You can use your phone to generate GTMF tones, so there's no requirement for a GTMF microphone anymore. Having said that, it is easier if your radio has got, you know, GTMF on the actual microphone or keypad, but it works just as well with, with your phone. Once you get into the system, be sensible, enjoy it, and when you finish, remember to sign out 7.3s. That is that on the IRLP. Any questions?
Come on, Jeff, you were first.
Okay, I was just going to say a couple of things. Firstly, that large document, I'm assuming that's available as a PDF, so you can just download the whole thing onto your computer as an electronic file, and it's searchable.
It probably is now. In 2013 it wasn't.
It would be worth seeing if it
Yeah.
is. If you could get it as a PDF, it would be searchable, so you then have the whole thing with all the companies on it. And the other thing is, as we've got a 2-metre antenna up on this building, just putting it to the floor, but actually anybody would actually be interested in seeing this done live.
I think it'd be a good idea.
So we can actually bring in a 2-metre set and hook it up.
Well, Mike and I have made some arrangements, hopefully after the presentations are finished, to move on another cup of tea, etc. We're hoping we may be able to run certainly IRLP and an Echolink demo as well for you. So, yeah, we can get that going. But it's another... What I'd like to say... Sorry, Lawrence, yes?
What I was going to say was that on the repeater book, every single
IRLP is there, yeah.
it lists which IRLP, and you can tick or untick whatever you want, D-Star, Fusion, which is what I've got, and it comes down IRLP, and it gives you the code there and then.
Yeah.
Good point, thank you very much, well made. I'll just repeat that, Lawrence just said. The free app you can get on your phone, which is the repeater book from the RSGB for UK, will allow you to search for all the IRLP nodes, and it will give you all the data on your phone, which is ideal if you're out mobile. Thank you, Lawrence, for bringing that up. Yeah. Well,
would it be fair to say that it's probably better to use it late at night and early in the morning, bearing in mind that you're sort of like interfering with the... Is that a good idea?
to be perfectly honest, mate, I think that's totally up to you when you use it. As I said, the only thing that is reasonable to take into account is the fact is you know, time changes. You know, so as you say, yeah, if you want to get, say, let's just say, for instance, Hong Kong, you know, at 9 o'clock in the morning, then work out what the time change is, you know, and do it that way. Guys, don't forget, this is just another format of amateur radio. Right? You know, you're going RF, internet, RF, and out. So, you know, use it in the same way. It's effectively, it's an extending the way the repeater works. So instead of, you know, you have a local area connection on the repeater, you've got a worldwide connection. The fact it's coming through the internet just means that there is, as I said. And I think, truthfully, I think now the problems with lag are starting to disappear because the bandwidth available to most computers is a lot greater. I mean, bearing in mind, Echolink was started in 98, 97, when we were all on dial-up on 56k. I don't know if you can remember that far back with modems, etc. If anybody is interested, you can set up an RLP link yourself. Again, get onto the IRLP.net website and have a damn good read. All right. What I've told you now should actually, with 10 or 15 minutes work on your own PC, give you enough information and knowledge to actually start accessing the IRLP and using it. Okay. All that information is, essentially speaking, that's what I've done. I've pulled it together and collated it for you into this little 15-minute presentation. That's really all you need to know. What you need to do, guys, is get hold of your handhelds and start using it. And the thing is, you could actually, for want of a better description, set up an IRLP net. So, you know, 4 or 5 club members get together, say, on a Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and somebody opens Node up and see where you can get to. Shay and I were sitting outside the cricket club in Bradnich on 8 o'clock in the evening, having a natter, and one of his colleagues came along. Said, "Oh, you two amateur radio operator?" "Yeah, natter." And he said, "Oh, I can use this." "Yeah, my mobile phone," says his colleague. And Shay says, "Yeah, so can I. Watch this." Ping, ping, ping. We opened up on the IRLP, the node in Whitby. Just so happened there was a guy walking his dog on Wellington Beach in New Zealand with a handheld. We put a call through and he came straight back to us. Apart from the fact our jaws dropped, so did the guy that was stood. But it just shows, there again, you know what I mean? It just shows where you can go and what you can get. It's really quite weird. It's weird and wonderful. Colin?
Sorry, I was late. When you start node surfing, you will find that there will be loads and loads of nodes that don't respond.
Yeah.
There is a very, very useful node to be, you might have already covered this in the chat.
Yeah.
There is a very useful node that will tell you whether your system is working or not, and that is 1000.
Yeah. I didn't cover that.
By IRLP in Canada.
Yeah.
That is always live.
Yeah. So there you go. Load number 1000, home IRLP. Ping it and it will say, "Yep, you're working, no problem."
That will prove that your system is set up,
Yeah.
working as it should be.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to find doesn't exist.
Okay, any more, guys? Smashing. Thank you very much. Moving swiftly on to nowhere. Going to move on to have a look at Echolink. Echolink, broadly similar in some respects to IRLP, but it's much closer, in a lot of respects to things like mainstream chat rooms, etc., which you'll find on social media, etc. Now, it's based on software. Again, it's free to download, but there is one major difference. It's amateur radio based only. So you ain't going to get any Muppets on there. No CB operators, no freebooters, no freebanders, no aliens. Well, not that many anyway. Essentially speaking, what it allows you to do is it allows radio amateurs around the world to communicate with each other using a voice over internet protocol technology for at least part of the path between them. Designed by a chap called Jonathan Taylor, called sign K1RFD. There are a couple of websites, of course, that are useful. Of course, is the home of Echolink. If you just Google it, it'll come up with ecolink.org. And there's also quite a few files, information, etc. on the IRL website. Search for that. There are approximately 350,000 users worldwide registered in 159 of the 159 of the 193 nations on the earth, with about 6,000 online at any time. There are various ways that you can access Echolink. You can access it on your phone, you can access it through your laptop, you can access it using an FM radio if there is a local Echolink node set up. I use the same term, node, but that's what it is. Sadly, our local node, which was actually at Exmouth, got shut down quite a while ago. It was actually run by a trawler captain. Sadly, the guy got killed. And as a result, obviously, that node was then shut down. I use Roger, bless him, 2E0GHR, and I use the Echolink quite a bit. Roger, when he had his stroke, was in Deneford Hospital, but he still accessed Echolink through his phone. And it was a source of joy for him in an extended stay in hospital. It allowed him to keep in contact with the amateur radio fraternity and the rest of us to keep up to date, etc. It's a great system. It's dead easy to use. Now, a lot of people, when I first started using it, said to me, it's difficult to set up. I downloaded the program, followed the instructions, and hey presto, it worked. I think these days it's very much of that case. You make it as difficult as you want to. I just kept saying, yes, accept, yes, accept, yes, accept. I didn't go and change anything. I didn't say to do something different. I just followed the instructions as they were given to me. Hey presto, it worked. And it's quite interesting. Okay. It's different from internet, from IRLP. As I said, it can be accessed through a variety of platforms. Unless you're accessing an Echolink enabled repeater, you need to use the software that you download. In simple terms, this is how it works. Mobile in area A transmits to the node. FM receiver in, FM receiver, transceiver connected to computer. Computer to internet to station B, and the reverse. That is it. Okay. If you're using the software, this is what the sort of thing you're going to see on your computer screen. Right? Runs on Microsoft Windows, but this is also available for Android and for Apple phones as well. It's free of charge. If anybody comes up and says, I want to charge you for it, don't swing and go and download it from somewhere else. Okay. You'll see little boxes come up as well on your system. This is the generic window once you've done your authorization and authentication. That's what will pop up on your screen. Hopefully we'll see something similar when we do a demo. Download the software, guys. Right, you don't need an up-to-date computer at all. In fact, the computers or the laptops at the club has recently disposed of, brilliant for it. Right? You don't need anything absolutely powerful at all. This is the home page of Echolink. This is what you first see. Home, right, and it says download. Asks you to put your call sign in and your email address. Dead simple so far. Okay. It then says you need to prove that you're an amateur radio operator. Okay. The simplest solution, as I found, is to take a digital photograph of your license, make sure it's reasonably decent, and email it off to them. Okay. It's a secure server net, goes off, the guy squints it and goes, oh yeah, UK issue, no problem. And normally, within 12 to 24 hours at most, you'll get a response. Take into consideration the time changes. If you do it at 9 o'clock in the morning, you'll probably get a response at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay, you get an email back. Once you've got that authentication through, you can start the process of setting it up. You then get a welcome to the Echolink setup wizard. This is not the download wizard. That goes straight through, dead quick. This series of pictures is what you can expect to see once you say, I want to get this system running. Okay. And it is extremely generic. You've seen it a million times. Every time you put a new program on your computer, you will see the license agreement, the destination folder, and it says, are you ready to go? Yes, please. Okay. So, it installs. It says, welcome to the wizard. It helps you. It's really friendly as well. Black, black, black all the way through. And it says, please, this is the important bit. Do you want a computer user or sysop? If you've never used it, Echolink before, choose computer user. Don't go sysop. All right? It's the same program, but if you just set a computer user, essentially speaking, it stops you from going into various menus and making some big mistakes. All right? Advanced user settings, as they say. So, part of the setup wizard, it asks you to put in some details. Okay, as you can see, the call sign, create a password, and your details X, Y, Z. It does a firewall test to make sure that it can actually get out and get back in again. These days, most people have got heavy-duty firewalls attached to their antivirus software, etc. It might pop up and say, do you want to let this access? Your antivirus system will pop up and say, this program is trying to access the internet. Do you wish it to allow it to do so? Well, if you want to use this, you would take yes. And if you don't, you're wasting your time. Okay. Where are you? Well, obviously you're in Europe. It does this router test system. Okay. Runs through various different connectors, in port tests, all the rest of it. Does a ping test. Yeah, great. I can actually connect to the system on the internet. So you can use it. This all, by the way, is automated. You don't have to do anything. It just sits and runs it. Okay. The setup is now complete. All right. And then you get a server message, your password's incorrect. All right. That was me. The reason that happened, and I put it in there for a reason, I signed into Echolink years ago. Yeah, and I forgot my password. So I had to create another one and get them to, I had to message them and they had to authenticate me. It took them about an hour and a half. So, you know, but that's what can happen. This comes up every day if you want it to do. Tip of the day. Right? It's about 50 of them. You're going to turn it off straight away. Personally, I leave them on because sometimes they are useful tips. You know, little hints about how to use the system, etc., etc. Right. This is what you get back as an email once they've validated your call sign and your registration. This is their status. I was actually already validated, so not a problem. And what we end up with, there we go. This is when you're connected using your computer or a phone or something similar. You'll see a screen similar to this. Okay. We're on USA Ham's conference page. Basically, it's a chat room full of amateur radio operators. It tells you where they're all going and what they're doing, different places. I suggest when you're using Echolink for the first time, you look for, in the United States, a forum, chat room, what do you call it, called the Do Drop In. Do as in D-O, not Jew off the end of your nose. Do drop in. It's basically a starting point for Echolink, etc. Right? And the people there are very friendly. They know that new operators. As soon as you sign in, on the net controller's screen, your call sign will pop up. It'll also come up on your screen. There'll be a list of who's actually in that chat room there as well. And normally you'll hear something like, "Oh, guys, Lynn from Exeter in UK has just signed in. Who wants to talk to him?" You know. Yeah, great. You know, I've chatted to truck drivers on Route 6 going down towards Mexico, and I'm going in on the internet, and he's on 10 metres, on a 10-metre repeater. And at the same time, I've been chatting to somebody in Canada, you know, who's sitting in Saskatchewan, whatever it is, you know, and he's using the 2-metre unit, you know, on FM. So it's a great system. Again, it's just pulling people together worldwide. Yeah. Then you're going, Lynn, you haven't really told us much about this and actually all the technology. No, I haven't, because you don't need to know it. What I'm trying to say to you is it's easy, guys. There's a little bit of reading, a little bit, a minuscule amount, but it's not hard. Download it and give it a go. You can't break a computer. All right? Remember the biggest, you know. Yeah, if things go wrong, just type no. You know, if you don't know the answer to it's the greatest thing in the world. If you don't know, if a computer asks you a question and you don't know what the answer is, just say no. If what result isn't what you want, go back and say yes. Hey presto. Right. Things you need to remember. You do need to register. And I suggest we all do. It's free. Okay. Access is strictly limited to licensed operators. That foundation guys, intermediate guys, doesn't matter. Right? It's open to everybody. Now, if you're like Mike and live in the bottom of a hole in the ground, and his best opportunity to get out to the world is via a satellite or a rabbit hole, right? Okay, perhaps using Echolink is a really good way of actually getting further afield than what you can use in RF at times. And the rest of it as well, guys. I mean, Nick has been putting up on the meteorological page that we've had some real banging radio RFs out. Echolink's always there, right? Because it goes through the internet as well as through RF. So if we've got massive sunspot blackout, use Echolink instead. Right? There's more than one string to our bows, as long as we make use of it. On the website, there is a little tour that you can take. It's worth actually doing that and just taking note of the information. It will clarify certain questions you might have. and also make use of the FAQs. I don't know about you guys, but I've got deadly sick of saying typing messages to people who go, oh, my answer to SWR is so and so and so and so. How do I change it? I'm like, well, bloody tune the thing, you know. Tune it, you know. And it's the same thing. I mean, the sysops do get a little bit cheesy after you repetitively see the same messaging. Before you go ask a question, go and check the help and FAQ files. Right? 99% of the time, the question's there. And if you've got a computer-specific problem, find somebody who knows about computers. Right? And as I said, don't print the node listings. They come out as huge, great reams of paper. Right. Recently added to Echolink is the automated CQ system. And the CQ function is a quick way to match stuff with another station also seeking an Echolink connection. As its name suggests, it's pretty much automated. Each node calling CQ chooses from a set of preferences such as language spoken and node type. It then automatically connects with another node that is also calling CQ with the same set of matched preferences. If no such station is already waiting when you call CQ, the link will keep your call sign in the queue until a match is found. So don't forget when you finish to cancel it. Right? That's nothing worse than getting somebody saying, yeah, okay, we found a match for you, and then when you click on it, the node's dead and the connection's gone because the other operator hasn't bothered to cancel that automatic CQ. Right? In the Windows edition of Echolink, to call CQ may be invoked from the submenu. Right, just a little point about preferences. The more preferences you put in, the more selective the system will be, which works two ways, positive and not so positive. You know, okay, yeah, you want somebody who speaks English because you don't speak German. Yeah, you want to speak to a bloke, fine, whatever, your preference. You know, the more things you put in, the more selective the system's going to be. But the other side of the coin is you're going to reduce down your access to other operators. I suggest you put in the bare minimum and leave it at that. It works particularly well. And if you're working, like Jeff in his office or whatever, or at home you're doing something, you've got the radio on, you can put that preference in and carry on working, painting the wall, whatever, and the system will run for you. Yeah. Conventionally, it's the same as using a repeater. Right. Keep the DX code of conduct in mind. If you can't hear somebody, then don't shout them back. Listen, imperative. Okay. Be aware of signal lag on the internet connections. Yeah, again, it's a little bit the same as the IRLP. Because you use the internet and you're going from RF to internet and RF back again, there will be some time delays. Bottom one is probably really important. Read the instructions. Okay, don't just make assumptions and take a guess. The answers are in the instructions for you. They're quite comprehensive, but as I've said, as long as you don't go into the menus and start tweaking stuff without really knowing what you're doing, Echolink will work absolutely fine for you. Right, Echolink demo. Maybe. Right. If we can get it running later on, we'll move it. Yes, Tom.
With IRLP and with Echolink, does the contact you make count as a contact? You know, is it verifiable, say, if you're chasing on a ball or something like that?
You need to check. I would say to
replace the ionosphere with the internet.
Yeah. Right. That question has arisen plenty of times, and the definitive answer is very simple. Contact the awards manager and see what they say. Right? Some awards will, you know, some won't. Some go, nah, you're going through the internet, you know, and all the rest of it. Well, I look at it this way. If I'm using a handheld or my mobile or whatever, and I'm accessing the RLP, then I'm using RF, and I'm talking to somebody else. All I'm doing is using the internet as an extension of that system. A little bit different, I would say, if I was sitting at home in my front room with a can of beer with my laptop on, you know, yeah, you know, exactly, you know. So, yeah, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, you quite easily get DXCC with Echolink. not massively impressive on the shack wall, but there again. You know, I mean, Mark's got a problem. Problems transmitting from home.
Yeah.
No, Mark,
Yeah.
Dave, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, so again, Echolink, absolutely ideal way. All right, not ideal way for everyday operations, but if you fancy out, you know, nothing on the telly for a couple of hours, bang up Echolink and have a nat around the world. You know, it's a useful thing as well. Again, you can use it for talkback as well. I mean, there are a lot of specific software programs that I know the contesting guys use, but in real terms, you could connect your laptop to each of your mobile phones, a hotspot, and you could use Echolink for talkback, particularly if you're going into the gigahertz band or stuff like that, you know, where SCADs, etc. are kept. So it's a useful tool. Anybody else?
We need a good VoIP microphone, a good quality microphone, plug in.
No, not at all. The equipment that's, generally speaking, the camera and the microphone that come in modern laptops, etc., are perfectly acceptable. You might find you turn the volume down.
Your audio quality's crap anyway.
Yeah. You do get a test system on Echolink. You can access it anytime you like. You hit it, say your call sign, your name and your location, and you hit bang, and it will just go off to the server and play it back to you. So if you want to sound like somebody off Coronation Street, now's your chance. Andy?
Echolink connected repeaters. Where are they? Have you got any local?
Yeah. As of a while ago, not too long, Plymouth, Gloucester, Roche, Newhaven, Polperro, Blandford Camp, Bath and Weymouth.
Used to be William Painter.
Yeah, used to be. They are FM Echolink. That's all the ones I've got at the moment. As Lawrence pointed out as well, you can pull up Echolink connected repeaters on the repeater book. So, you know, a useful tool on your phone by far. Anybody else? Jeff?
There's only one other useful thing with Echolink is if, for example, you don't have an Echolink repeater near you, once you've got the software on your phone, you can actually bypass one stage of the RF because you don't need to go through into the first repeater to get onto the system. I sat in ex-girlfriend's house in her dining room one day with the mobile phone on the table because her kids were saying to me, well, what's all this radio stuff? You know, we can do everything with a mobile phone. I said, yeah, but could you speak to somebody totally random in the USA just on your phone? They said, no. I said, watch this. And I went on to Echolink and ended up chatting with a guy sitting on his porch in Kansas. And you know, that was using Echolink direct from the phone, not going through a repeater. So, you know, if you are in a place, for example, as we are here, where we don't have a repeater local, then we can still use Echolink.
Yeah. Right, guys, thank you very much. There's no more questions. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. We'll get up, stretch your legs, grab another cup of coffee or whatever. I'm not going to stretch my legs because they're long enough. But, you know, just take a 5-minute break and I'll put the last presentation on. It's on a new mode, reasonably new mode called VarAC or VarAC. It's not a presentation like this, it's actually an RSGB production. I was going to do a presentation, but when somebody pointed out that the RSGB had already done one, it seemed a bit like building a better mousetrap. And I've watched the video a few times. It's actually a very good presentation. So, you know, apologies to those of you who might have caught it. It's one of the 8 o'clock presentations from the RSGB channel. I think it's actually really worth watching. It presents a whole new slant on stuff, and the guy just actually gives some demonstrations, etc., live, or as it was then, live. So.